And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock, Wednesday, February 11th. And we got almost the full bag today. 14 games being played, 13 of which on DraftKings. FanDuel dropped the nines. We're all over the map today, and we have an absolute mess on our hands across this entire league. We have plenty to break down, so buckle up and get ready. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and then follow us both on Twitter at Josh Engleman, at Eric Lindquist. This is a big boy. We got a big one here today.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. It was insane last night working through it for 14 games. I was up, I don't know, till like 11 my time. So yeah, 2 a.m. Eastern. It was just an insane slate to work through with all of the bets and all of the news and trying to figure it out. For the most part, though, I'm pretty happy with the way things panned out. A lot of pick'em cards with Dayron Sharpe, a lot of pick'em cards that had Devin Carter, who's going to look really, really good again. Like, there's just so many different pieces on this. Go ahead. Right off the bat.
Alex Sarr out. Sorry.
Yeah. What do we trust from Washington in any way, shape, or form? And also, as you said, every game but one on the DraftKings slate. 13 games over there. FanDuel's a little bit trimmer, but I don't know. I really like having some of that late swappability involved. And I think Devin Booker, Jalen Green are very, very live to sit. That could look interesting because do you want anything against OKC? But like, I love these kind of slates where a 2 or 3% guy can actually go out and win you a tournament. Like sometimes we get the 2-3% guys who just look terrible. There are going to be 2 or 3% guys who are actually like fantastic values. And they're the one not insanely chalky piece of your lineup. And it's nice knowing that you could have access to like very unique builds at the same time that you get these large slates and then it just becomes condensed chalk anyway, because of how good specific pieces look.
Dude. Today's slate is, I don't even really know where to start. I mean, we've got the Wizards, who are an absolute mess. The Sacramento Kings aren't playing a single guy whose name you recognize. The Pacers play the Nets. The Kings, as I mentioned, play the Jazz. There's a lot of just total dumpster fires. We just got Sarr out. Embiid out 15 minutes before we got started. Woo!
Here's kind of
we got a hell of a game here.
I think this is the best way to do it because we do have these individual spots and we can start breaking them down, but I want to start at a position today. Let's start at center. Okay. Let's go to center on DraftKings because I think this is probably the talking point of the entire slate for me. Jokic and his raw points relative to a position with infinite value. We have infinite value on DraftKings at center. It's actually insane what we're looking at. And when you're talking about a guy like Jokic who gets to go up against Memphis, where he's got a 13.5 rebound prop and just looks completely nuclear, but all of the best value exists, the Dayron Sharpes of the world, the Paul Reeds of the world, the now Andre Drummonds of the world, Khalil Ware of the world. This is such a tough slate because of this position. And I think it'll allow for us to kind of detour into like, you know, something I was sending you a message about before this show, and, you know, Tyrese Maxey that's now going to be a part of this slate, and Kawhi on a back. Like, there's just so much interesting stuff as far as not spend ups that are Jokic.
Currently, Nikola Jokic is projected for 30 more fantasy points than anybody else that has a center eligibility today.
Yep.
I don't know why I said 30. It's 20. I'm stupid. That's bad math.
Math is hard.
30 would be truly insane. It's 20. The 20's crazy too. 63.5 to 43.5 for Alperen Şengün. I'll tell you what, this would be a much harder decision if this were a 7 o'clock game. But this is a 9 o'clock start. It's clearly like a different vibe to go to Jokic. The swaps become a little different. But, you know, you've got the Grizzlies on the opposite side. Kings, Jazz, Thunder, Suns all locking at 9. I'm happy to eat all of that Nikola Jokic ownership and more. And if things start moving throughout the slate, I'm happy to move off of it. But he looks just way too good here. And that game time, very easy to get to. Clearly infinite value across the board today. I don't want to get away from it. I'd like to have more than less.
I think that's a great breakdown for that. I also think that you're going to have news that we don't expect, some insane shit that pops up along the way. It's the last start time, which I think was very important that you broke down. And he's only in a third of the field's lineups. If we got more value at more positions, that number is going to go up, up, up. And where's it going to strip away from? It's going to strip away from 65% Dayron Sharpe. It's going to strip away from now 16% Paul Reed. It's going to strip through Dylan Cardwell and some of these other pieces that are just pulling a lot of ownership. Now, they're the ones that are positively leveraged right now. But I guess for me, this kind of leads me into the spend ups part. We got a lot of value. We've got a lot of double center lineups that are going to exist no matter what you do, whether or not you play a lot or a little of Jokic, whatever the path is you have. For me, it's like figuring out what spend ups come in early that I really want to prioritize. So no matter what shows up, I'm still getting access to this, to that, and getting overweight to Jokic, where if I have lineups that I'm hitting some of the early value with, like some guys that, I mean, Washington is such a cluster that I don't even think I'm going to go crazy there. But like Kevin Porter Jr. got a lot more interesting without Ryan Rollins. We have Jalen Johnson, who's not going to pull as much ownership as he typically would on a lot of slates for a guy who is, you know, for intents and purposes, averaging a triple-double. There's just so many interesting early pieces that kind of dictate what you want to be doing. So I think jamming Jokic, as you said, makes a ton of sense. Trying to just late swap and prioritize it throughout the day. But like, it is now insane what we're looking at the center position. And I feel like it kind of feeds what you're going to do elsewhere, because I mean, if Khalil Ware starts again, that is a very, very healthy number that we're going to be getting to of like, I'm going to get to a lot of Khalil Ware above the field. I know that he's negatively leveraged in our tools right now, but I can't imagine I'm not going to play Khalil Ware with like 32 minute upside of Andrew Wiggins that's up out of this situation as well. Like, there's no way that he's not going to look better than he currently does. And that just becomes another dude that you can't really pass up at this ridiculous position.
It is a ridiculous position. We do have the update now for Philly. Andre Drummond, 4,500, 25 minutes, 6.09x value, which is 2, 4, 6. It's the 9th best value at center, and he's 7% out.
That's insane. That's what I'm saying. This is one of those slates where you need to, I mean, everything's going to look ridiculous. You better like the way your lineups look. I guarantee it. But that's the crux of it. Everything starts with like how you handle Jokic and late swap, and his ownership just came down in our last update as well, as we added to the Drummond fund. And again, the Ware fund will look even better for me if you get Andrew Wiggins out of there, and it probably guarantees his start again.
Obviously, we're talking a lot about Jokic and his 60 fantasy point projection. Maybe we should talk about Dayron Sharpe and his 60% ownership projection. No Nick Claxton for this one. 5,200 center only against Indy. One of the best matchups you're going to get for a center until Ivica Zubac gets whatever he is, whether that's this year or next year. Sharpe is a massive fantasy point per minute guy until you look below him and see that Jokic is at 2 fantasy points per minute. Dayron Sharpe at 1.4 looks downright pedestrian when you start comparing those things, and Sharpe is probably like one of the highest numbers you'll get to today. That's the chalk that scares the hell out of me, because when he plays and when he plays real minutes, he typically just fills up the stat sheet. 60% ownership today, locking at 730. I think that's the more interesting question.
Yeah, it's another amazing question, because also Brooklyn. What does Brooklyn do in a spot where this game's like, a 10, 12-point game, they're up and Dayron Sharpe is smashing? They probably take him off the floor and just keep Danny Wolf out there, right? Like, one of the weird things about tanking and dealing with this is like, the only way you can combat a player like a Dayron Sharpe, who is playing for his profession, for his job, for a contract in the future, is to literally take him off the floor and stop being effective. And that's where I get nervous about some of these major chalk spots. Now, he's 5,200 without Nick Claxton, and Danny Wolf probably plays a little bit of backup center minutes, a little bit here, a little bit there. But like, for the most part, if they're just going to play this game normally, like a normal basketball team, like not Memphis starting Kyle Anderson, who was a point guard in college at the 5 against Joker kind of basketball game, just to be ridiculous. The only way you combat Dayron Sharpe smashing with his fantasy point per minute rate, or at least putting up something that's very, very usable on this slate, is to take him off the floor. What are the lineups? What does Brooklyn do in lineups where, it's Micah Potter out there? They can do whatever they want. They could go Zaire Williams. They could go to a number of different iterations. So I can't play 64% of Dayron Sharpe at this position with the opportunity cost, knowing that he could play 24 minutes, because that is actively something that if he's got 15 and 12 at halftime, does Brooklyn actively rip him off the floor? We haven't seen this type of a situation with Brooklyn. We've seen it with so many other teams where maybe they just say, F it and whatever. Every team wants to lose right now with this NBA draft. That is the Brooklyns of the world. That is the Utahs of the world. So I'm keeping that in mind to some extent. I think it's more likely that he plays right around that 27-minute number than less, but I do think of scenarios where it goes really south and you're able to bypass it. So currently I capped him at 50%. I don't know what I'm going to do going forward. It's going to depend on news that comes out for this show and afterwards, but he's the best center play point per dollar. Nobody's going to dispute that. He's the best point per dollar play we have on the entire slate. I'm not going to dispute that, but I think at this position, you're going to get 45s and 50s from so many different guys that I'd rather scatter the board with some of the low-owned pieces and see what happens.
For the most part, I completely agree with you. This is, who the fuck were we talking about? Was that yesterday or 2 days ago? He's awesome as a play. He should be 60% optimal. He's an incredible point per dollar option today. Every part of that's great. In cash games, he's the first name you're clicking on. In GPPs, I find him very easy to get away from. Now, you're going to lose a lot in those situations, but I do think the path elsewhere is really appealing in large field contests because everybody around him is so damn busy. Dylan Cardwell, 5,300. Danny Wolf, 5,100. Ware, 5,100. Raynaud, 5K. Paul Reed, 5,500. Jay Huff, 5,200. Drummond, 4,500. There's 15 dudes that all are around the exact same price. And it's not like these guys are 8% boom, 12% boom. I'm just going to start at Cardwell, 45, 38, 32, 45, 49, 49. It's not like these guys are not likely to hit this number. If Khalil Ware is a 45% boom guy, and Raynaud is a 49% boom guy, and Paul Reed is a 49% boom guy, I get that Dayron Sharpe's in the 60s, but those are all coin flips to hit the score you're looking for, and these guys are getting a third of the ownership. He's really easy to have a ton, to cast a wide net if you want to plant a flag right here. He's also a fantastic play. If you want to plant it the opposite way, I get that completely. But there are so many guys around that I find him to be the easiest thing to get away from.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the easiest thing to get away from if he's going to still be in half my lines, but this is my favorite discussion we've had in a while, purely because I like process over plays. I know for a guy who gives plays, that sounds disingenuous for a guy who's betting into it, but no fucking way. No way.
I love Dayron Sharpe today, dude. He's the best play for sure.
The max. So, come on.
Best play by a mile. I don't know why any idiot would want to pivot off of him. That would be extra special stupid. For those of you that have not seen the news that popped up, Noah Clowney has now been ruled out. Noah Clowney, by the way, was projected for 27 minutes. Everything I just said is not nearly as interesting. He looks better now.
Oh, Danny Wolf is going to look ridiculous. At least I have some pickup. Dude, this is insane. So again, right now with the guys that Indy has out there, with no Zubats, they ship off Isaiah Jackson, Pascal Siakam out, Obi Toppin's been out for a while. This comes down to Micah Potter being in and seeing what happens for the backup there. But for the most part, the only way Dayron Sharpe doesn't completely eviscerate is what I was talking about before. He's playing too well, and Brooklyn's just completely smashing, and they go to Zaire Williams at the 5 because they're just well, or not actively. I guess it'd be Danny Wolf at the 5. Danny Wolf is the best hope that they have at tanking in this kind of scenario, and potentially just pulling Dayron Sharpe off the floor for meaningless reasons. Besides that, this is absurd. Now you remove the guy who is projected for the most usage on the team. This is absurd. Like, Dayron Sharpe looks ridiculous. Now we can talk, I guess, about Brooklyn in general in this indie game, because Jarris Walker's got a Q tag as well. You have to have one of the Q tags in today. They have 9 active bodies on the on the Indiana side. So one of Walker or Potter has to be in. That's just what it is. Whether or not they're in the starting lineup and play is a completely different conversation. You could have 7 bodies for Indy today. And I am just intently looking at that news because we've already got Quentin Jackson pulling the ownership that he should. Shout out your Nuke of the night last night. Could not have played better and awesome in overtime. I mean, Indy had to be pissed as they dropped a 44% chance to keep their pick, as they don't have I think it's top 5 protected. But Jarris Walker, if he ends up in at 5,800, that's an uncomfortable one because he's sitting at a price tag that isn't like the Starsy and Scrubsy type price tag. But if Micah Potter ends up in and he ends up out, we are looking at playing a lot of this basketball team against Brooklyn, and now even more of the Brooklyn side where Dayron Sharpe already looked good. I thought Danny Wolf was pretty sneaky just because I thought there'd be chances that he could get to like 30, 31 minutes in a lot of ways. Now you might project him for like 30 minutes. And this is just looking absurd on the Brooklyn side of things. Cause like he was pulling a little bit of ownership. I thought he was about appropriately owned, but like sitting at 26.5 minutes, now you're launching it. He's always been a good fantasy producer. He's another one of those dudes where it's like, when you have guys who are good fantasy producers and you're projecting them for a ton of minutes, I mean, we're playing a lot of these dudes. And I don't see a way around it now that you're taking Clowney off the floor, and it uncomfortably makes like Igor an interesting dude to actually talk about. Like, I hate this. I hate this so much.
Yeah. Is it like Josh Minot day now? It could be. Danny Wolf obviously going to look way better. And yeah, back to back. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Quentin Jackson. Back to back like I'm on the cover of Lethal Weapon. Like I'm Jordan, 96, 97. Gonna have to get a third one today, that's for sure.
Do it.
I mean, we're going to, obviously, let's wait it out and see what these projections look like before we loop back to Brooklyn and Indy. One thing that I do want to do, and it's based off of the super chat that just popped in here. So I want to pull up the FanDuel side because this is a very different slate across both sites. Gabriel says, happy birthday, Josh. Thank you. Thank you. As much as you can tomorrow.
Happy birthday, young man. I had no idea.
Thank you, brother. Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff. You're not working tomorrow then. You get to go kick it, right?
Just tomorrow night. I took I'm going out to dinner with Katie, but I'm working in the morning.
Awesome. Happy birthday, dude.
Thank you, brother. As much as you can, would appreciate FanDuel data on all positions. We will certainly hit every position. I'm going to wait it out until we hit a 6:30 update for the sevens, just for what this slate is, to like actually go through position by position. But I'm going to hit the top stuff right now. Dayron Sharpe is the same thing on FanDuel and arguably even more extreme. Yeah. Now, center only, and only one center, but 65% owned. And you can say that he looks better now than he did before that. It's awesome. He looks fantastic. Tyrese Maxey is looking amazing on the FanDuel side, thanks to no Joel Embiid. Quentin Jackson, 40% owned on the FanDuel side. $8,100 LaMelo is massively owned, as is Brandon Miller, as is Con Knipple. We got a couple things to touch on. There is much more concentrated ownership since they don't include the 9 o'clocks. But the one thing I will let everybody know, Dayron Sharpe was already an awesome play on both sites, and he probably looks a little bit better than he even did 5 minutes ago. And let me finally loop back to this one from Langston. Can I play Reed and Drummond in the same lineup on DraftKings? Yes.
Yeah, without a doubt. They do not play for the same team, in case you were thinking about that. Once upon a time, they did. It's been 2 or 3 years since that was the case. But yeah, absolutely, you can play them both.
Yep. No shortage of playable centers going out there today.
Anyway,
God, this Brooklyn situation is nuts.
And yeah, I know. It's just, It's an absurd slate. And now we just got even absurder because, God, This is going to make Khalil Ware, if Wiggins is out, look so unbelievably freaking good to me, because we're going to get that information. It starts a little bit later. They're in New Orleans tonight, so it's like a little bit later. Khalil Ware, can you keep your damn hands to yourself, please? Like, just get dunked on by Bam once or twice, make him happy, and keep him out on the floor.
Here's the next question that I think we should talk about, because I don't think it's going to change based on anything we just saw. Nikola Jokic, most expensive guy on the slate, 30% owned. Tyrese Maxey with no Joel Embiid, no Paul George. He's 9,600. He's 30% owned. Every other guy, 9K or higher, which is like 10-ish people or more, all of them are 10% owned or less. Jalen Johnson, Cade, Kawhi, Jaylen Brown, Ant, Donovan Mitchell, Alperen Şengün, Barnes, Avdia, Brunson, Harden, Banchero. They're all not getting any ownership. We have two guys getting a bunch of it. Realistically, the most likely scenario here is that one of Jokic or Maxey is good and one of Jokic or Maxey isn't good enough. What the hell else do you want to pay up for today? There's clearly got to be some spots, and you can take a stand on these guys today.
Yeah, and we were working through this mainly because I'm worried about Kawhi Leonard minutes. Back-to-backs, the tail end of back-to-backs, he's been capped at 31 minutes the entire season, has not played above 31 minutes on a back-to-back. And I wanted to make a case for him purely because he's sitting at small forward, where if you look at the board, every other player is center, power forward, shooting guard, or point guard. Legitimately, every single one. And I really wanted to play Kawhi. I'm thinking I might still have a little bit, because I was getting 0 when I was running Sims before this show and kind of going through my normal process. And so I hit up Josh and I'm just like, hey, kind of what's the deal there? We've got him at 33 minutes, which is a healthier number than I've seen anywhere else. And I feel pretty confident that that's the high bar. Like that's like a big number for Kawhi based on that. However, it's that unknown of knowing that it's the Wednesday and he got snubbed in the All-Star game. And now we're going into a full week off for one of the most injury-prone players in basketball. So maybe this is a spot where they can put him up to the 33, 34, 35 minutes at a competitive spot. But I'll point out that yesterday they ripped him off the floor at like the 3-minute mark to hard cap him at 31. And Ty Lue just didn't put him back in the game, even though it was a 7-point game at the 2-minute mark. So I don't know if that's going to be something that they pre-plan ahead of time or whatnot. Maybe we get news. I very highly doubt it, but like, I think you're just kind of guessing. But considering he's small forward, I really wanted to make a case for him being the guy. I think in the aftermath, guys that aren't Jokic and Maxey, I have to be looking at Julius Randle. This is really hard purely because it's speculative and you're looking at Anthony Edwards and he's a little bit further down the board here for it. But as you're looking at Julius Randle at 8,200, he's pulling a little bit of ownership now, but you take Ant off the floor, this just looks nuclear in so many different ways. And we've got power forward that's coming up a little bit earlier. Like there's not a ton of ownership coming in on Jalen Johnson. Raw fantasy points, it should be easy to find value wherever, but I think Julius Randle is like the right combo of somebody who does everything on a floor where there's a little bit of a nice floor where it's on a slate like this, you need to absolutely nuke it. But his value is going to look so much better than look at everybody above him, like 4.39, 4.31, 4.21. Like him relative, I thought Trey Murphy would be another interesting guy against Miami in an up-tempo spot, but I didn't end up there really at all, purely because now Maxey's showing up a ton. I really like the idea of Julius Randle being preloaded in the chamber. And if I get stuck with a little bit, so be it. I still think it's a really nice spot for him.
No problem whatsoever with the Randle shout. Like you can play him if Ant doesn't end up out, and he clearly looks a lot better if Ant does end up out. You went deeper onto Kawhi. I think it's pretty easy to just stay essentially right next to him and look at Jaylen Brown. Matchup against the Bulls, they're dreadful. Shooting guard, small forward, fantastic eligibility. 9,800 still works. Separated from Kawhi by 0.3 of a fantasy point. Could very easily play a couple extra minutes if this game happens to be competitive. Essentially the exact same boom score. He's probably the guy that I look at in this range. I mean, you can see on this list, outside of Alperen Şengün, Jaylen Brown is the only guy on here that has an MPE. Every single other pay-up option on today's slate is a single position guy. Now, there's not like a ton of flexibility coming out of this, but I do feel like Jaylen Brown, given the matchup, is just a hair underrepresented. And he'd be the guy that I take a look at in this spot. I think Jalen Johnson also looks a bit slept on today, given his position. We did get an ownership, or we got a projections update, by the way, since that Nets news. So,
yeah, if I'm running, so I just started another sim here, just kind of running this as we go. But I love the shout out for Jaylen Brown. The other thing, too, is you are getting him starting off first and third quarters without a Pritchard on the floor, too. Like, that's, I'm going to say, a little bit helpful overall. Like, we've got him at a healthy 1.4, 1.45 going up against the Bulls. And, like, I'm with you. Again, small forward, I think, is like it is on most slates, but specifically today, I think it's another annoying position. We've got so many power forwards that we can play that are expensive. And obviously I brought up Randall purely because he's a little bit further down the list. He's pulling a little bit of ownership now, but as people start to stars and scrubs it, I don't want to lose Randall, especially if that news is still pending going later. Go ahead.
Now I'm just looking at this Brooklyn ownership now. It's Dayron Sharpe 70 and deserved. Danny Wolf 40, I think, and very deserved. There's not a soul getting any other ownership for Brooklyn here. 2% to the Igor Demon, and that's it. Now, they don't have the best pricing in the world. I don't even know who I would angle for, but it feels like there should be one more dude from the Nets. Maybe there just isn't. They still have a ton of bodies. Ultimately, I think Danny Wolf and Dayron Sharpe both look pretty damn good now that we have no Clowney.
If you are going to play lineups without Dayron Sharpe, I really like the idea of just playing Danny Wolf, like in a single entry. If you're going to go double center that isn't with it, the scenario I literally talked about, there's only so much you can do if Dayron Sharpe is smashing and doing whatever and winning you a basketball game. Although, I mean, he's just a phenomenal, tremendous fantasy producer, more so than just a good basketball player. He's like the Andre Drummond of the Brooklyn Nets, but like, Drummond's had his moments. I guess that's a little harsh, but I don't know what to say other than like, yeah, we've got a ton of power forwards to spend up for, tons of centers. Point guard is so much better with Tyrese Maxey now alongside a LaMelo Ball. And then small forward, it's like the three-headed dragon meme. It's the meme on the far right. The small forward position is just brutality. And that's where the indie stuff could be very, very interesting. Not just Jackson, for what it's worth. Like, there's a lot of these dudes. Oh, God, we're going to talk about Washington. This is like my nightmare. This is my actual nightmare.
Well, we got back-to-back super chats, so I figured I'd get this out of the way quickly. Anthony Gill, near top value. Thoughts from Chad Chandralistal?
No.
And Sean Carps. I know this is absurd, but any Anthony Gill love tonight. Anthony Gill projected for 25 minutes, 17 fantasy points, and 0.47 optimal with a 16% boom rate. I have no idea how you click on him today. I don't know how you click on anybody from Washington. They are unowned and should be.
You need to get two things right. You need Anthony Gill to play more than you project, and you need him to way outperform his fantasy point per minute rate. It's kind of like when Ben Raza in the NFL streets talks about, the conditions of which you need somebody to go completely nuts for you, like a running back position to bypass chalky running backs. It's like you need to get so unbelievably lucky and thread that needle. And I don't know how you click on Anthony Gill at power forward center, two positions that you best get a fucking score from. You can't play a guy who's going to project for 25 minutes. You need him to play 34 minutes, 36 minutes minimum at that kind of a fantasy point per minute rate. And then he needs to actually do something with them.
Yeah, we would have needed like Keyshawn George and Bilal out to really change that one up. But that is not a direction I think anybody should be going.
The second half.
That's very true. And then finally, Ankle Breaker. Are we sleeping on Nolan Traore? 10 to 15%. He's a completely fine flyer to me. 4,700 point guard eligibility, unowned, decent enough per minute guy at 0.91. Actually has a 29% boom score, which looks pretty good relative to the ownership. If you've got a pretty chalky lineup, I don't think that's crazy. Might not be my first choice given when that game. It's a 7:30 start. That's fine.
Yeah, Brooklyn is 10 guys. I don't love it. That's the quick answer. Like, the more I've kind of worked through this, And as we finished it out, we got news that Micah Potter is in, by the way. Jarris Walker's in. So they have 9 bodies. So this game has kind of gone down on a whole outside of Danny Wolf and Dayron Sharpe, who, when you remove Noah Clowney from the equation, just look ridiculous, mainly because you have Jalen Wilson, Zaire Williams. Those are like your 2 backups there. But you have Sharaf, Josh Minot, Drake Powell. Those are all guys that are going to mix in. And, it just kind of is what it is. We'll get that starting lineup. I suppose that could change things a little bit. Oh, we are getting the Kalkbrenner start. I thought we might get Grant Williams for what it's worth. But keeping Grant Williams somewhat limited, that's weird. That's weird to me. But anywho, I'm dumb. Don't mind me. Oh, Williams is starting.
You are
starting at the 4.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, I mean, they're missing their starting 4 and 5. They needed both of those people.
I know. I thought Tajon Salon had a chance to start. That was the other guy that I think
I figured they would go to Kalkbrenner and just go real center right out of the gate.
Yeah. And they did. They did. You win.
Yeah.
It was first game, so I didn't give a shit, but also one of those things to think about.
All right. I think we got a decent chunk of talking so far. Carrington, Watkins, Johnson, Koulibaly, and George starting lineup for the Wizards. So just so everybody knows, they're still not even starting Anthony Gill, which should be the takeaway. If your goal is to play Anthony Gill coming off the bench today, unreg right now. By the way, he's going to have 500 fantasy points.
Jarrett Allen is going to rebound. Like, he's not a great rebound, but Jarrett Allen, my God, are we going to get Portland 2.0, that Portland game that he had that just went silly? Oh my God, they're starting Sims, Jericho Sims, you Bucks, you absolute jokers, you jokers.
KPJ, AJ Green, Kyle Kuzma, Jericho Sims, Miles Turner starting for the Milwaukee Bucks today. I think we've waited long enough, and I know people want it. We're going long for this one, folks. Let's do this thing. That was pretty good, right? I like that gong sound. Nuke of the night. Nuke of the night time, baby. It is about that time for the nuke of the night. I'm running hot. 2 in a row. What you got?
I mean, I got 50% of the way there. Kawhi Leonard just did not have it in any way, shape, or form. But Victor Wembanyama, he took king of the court, snatched the souls of a lot of human beings who had some other things going on there. But this is really, really hard because there are so many good centers to play today. There are an insane amount of good centers to play. I can make a case for legitimately 9, 10, 11 centers being amazing tournament options. But if you're going to go towards a center slash, if you're going to be waiting on news, if we're going to be rating the whole night and we're going to have like the Jokic and you want to get some later information, I just want to point out that Maxime Reynaud played 38 minutes and had 19 rebounds the other night. I'm obsessed with the idea. No, he was not going to be your guy. No way. Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I have everything up on the screen. I wish you could see the rest of my screen.
No way. That's insane.
Keep going.
Apologize. Okay.
Keep going.
They had him play in like a 25-minute blowout. He's also closed in competitive games. There might be no way to take him off the floor considering what you're getting on the Utah side. Now, they don't have Walker Kessler there, who's apparently claiming that he's worth like $50 million a year or some shit, which is just absolutely insane for a guy who's like in his second year and played like 2 games this year. But that's neither here nor there. Maxime Reynaud, if you get Kevin Love, Jaren Jackson Jr., Lauri Markkanen, he might be on the floor an eternal amount today. And if I'm looking to bypass this Dayron Sharpe ownership early and get some early information and trim down that ownership, where if Wiggins is out looks really, really good and somebody that I'm going to be overweight to where he's at now, And no matter what, Maxime Reynaud is in that last window, double center, being able to have both of those spots covered for me with those Jokic lineups. Maxime Reynaud, nuke of the night.
We're docked up today, baby. Look at us. Look at us go.
Look at good Lord.
Look at us go. I swear I was going that direction. We had nice positive leverage on him. 5K projected for 32 minutes, a fantasy point per minute, and a 50% boom score. He is 50-50 to hit the score you're looking for tonight in a tournament. I love it. I absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do is do the exact same thing with a slightly different player. I'm going to spend an extra $500 on our boy B-Ball Paul. 5,500, center eligible, 1.17 fantasy points per minute, and a 50% boom score. He is our fourth highest positive leverage option on today's slate behind Cam Jones, my boy Quentin Jackson, and KPJ. So whether it's Reynaud, whether it's B-Ball Paul, I think we're looking at two centers around 15% owned that are under-owned for today. And at least one of them is a coin flip to hit the score you're looking for. I don't know which one we're going to get. Maybe we get them both, but we're all over this today.
Yeah, we're seeing this exactly the same way. The guy, I had pulled this, like the comment in the chat up forever ago, but he basically was like, Jokic Sharpe, yeah, that's going to be so unbelievably chalky. And you can play chalk. The Sims have taught us you can play chalk. That's not an issue. But the issue I have is the position and how valuable it is. And knowing that even like a 7x score from Dayron Sharpe isn't necessarily going to get it done for you in a tournament. I'm thinking it's still very likely that it shows up as like a winning lineup in those kind of capacities, but 68%, 69% of people are looking at doing that today. I just think it's a little too healthy. If it were later, maybe I just kind of sit on it and maneuver around, but it's such a valuable position today. I want to take some shots on these lower owned guys. So Ware, Reed, Reynaud, all guys I'm overweight to.
Current optimal on DraftKings: Cam Jones, Devin Carter, Quentin Jackson, Danny Wolf, Dayron Sharpe, Tyrese Maxey, Dylan Cardwell, Nikola Jokic. I don't think anything that I just said there should be all that surprising. Now, FanDuel is going to look very different because we've got a different amount of games. We've got optimal on FanDuel right now: Tyrese Maxey, KPJ, Quentin Jackson, and Cam Jones, Brandon Miller, Danny Wolf, ya boy, Julius Randle, Zion, and Dayron Sharpe. So that's what we've got going on the FanDuel side, optimal-wise. We have 21 minutes to go until lock. We've got an absolute mess on our hands. We haven't done this in a minute, but I cannot help myself.
Why? No.
Why? Why not? It's time for the white of the night. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't know how to make it stop. White of the night time, folks. 13 games being played today. Technically 14 if you want to get really weird, but I don't know why you'd go to the showdown for this one. Probably time for you to do some research and make sure these guys are what you think they are. The floor is yours, sir. Who you got?
In touch with the ground. I'm on the hunt. I'm after you. We're hungry like the wolf, baby. Danny Wolf.
That's reasonable. Part of me wants to go Jokic. You know what's really fun here, though?
What? Loser.
What? Why are you unhappy about what we're doing here?
Jokic. Oh, he might play well.
Why would I go to Jokic when I have the perfect opportunity to take exactly who I wanted to take as my nuke of the night? Maxime Reynaud, come on down. If I can't use you for the nuke, I will use you for the white of the night. Fantastic stuff.
I choose you, Pikachu. No longer available on Epstein Island. Not sure if you saw that. Shout out Pokemon Go or whatever the shit. Apparently they had availability on Epstein Island and they were getting shit about it, which is pretty funny. I'm like, what the fuck? Also, we're gonna stay away from that. We're just gonna move along.
I wonder how many Pokemon got captured there.
Please just.
I wonder. Wait. Isn't like there somebody becomes the like winner, right? Like when there's a lot, when you play Pokemon Go and you have the most of, so like somebody is the, I don't remember the name of it. What is the name of that in Pokemon? Someone is like they run the show there, right? I wonder who it is.
Pokemon Master. Pokemon.
Somebody's gonna say it in chat for sure. There's a name for it. But yeah, I mean, somebody's got it.
I just can't even show my face on screen with you right now. All right, now we're back. Cool. We're ready to rock.
Look, Pokemon did it. I didn't do it, man. I didn't put Pikachu there. Champion, maybe. Gym leader. Yeah, who's the gym leader there?
Gym leader. That's great. Awesome. Anyway, we've got super chats. Let's do it.
That's well done.
That was my fault.
Well done.
Honestly, I just go wherever my brain takes me, and should have just hit eject on that one.
Gabriel, this one's going to be for you as much as it's for our boy Del Toro. We got an update 1 minute ago, position by position on FanDuel today. Point guard is very simple. There are two guys breaking free that are obviously outstanding plays. That's going to be Tyrese Maxey and LaMelo Ball. They're both at least 40% owned. If you're looking for something different in that area, not that these guys aren't getting any ownership, but guys like Cam Jones and Colin Sexton are pretty darn close. Anything you want to add at point guard?
No, not at FanDuel. I'm not playing two sites today would have been impossible for me. So yeah, we're just DK today.
Shooting guard, it's pretty clearly Quentin Jackson. He only has shooting guard eligibility, and he's the most owned and optimal dude at the position. Brandon Miller has a little bit of crossover. You could drop him in at small forward. Similarly, we saw Cam Jones at the point guard spot. That's some additional crossover. KPJ also in the mix at one of the guard spots. When you go to small forward, we see a lot of MPEs, only one of which at the top has power forward as well. That's Danny Wolf. But if it's not Danny Wolf, Brandon Miller, Knipple, Trey Murphy, Jaylen Brown, all sort of in the same bucket. Brandon Miller is the guy breaking free. Wolf at power forward, Khalil Ware at power forward. Those two dudes are on an island, 30-something% owned. Everybody else is 20 or below. So you're paying very close attention to Danny Wolf and Khalil Ware at power forward on FanDuel. And then there is no other answer to this question. The answer to center on FanDuel is very clearly Dayron Sharpe.
Dayron Sharpe. Done.
Got to catch them all. Thanks to 1122.
Thank you, my dude. Oh, God.
I guess we should probably get this out of the way, too, just because we haven't said the name. Devin Carter is 4,500, point guard, shooting guard eligible for Sacramento, taking on Utah, likely playing 30 minutes, and is as owned as Dayron Sharpe. I find him easier to get to than Dayron Sharpe because of his guard eligibility. I have no problems here. This value is fantastic. To me, he's like the perfect thing to help you get to Jokic, if that's the direction you're going.
My highest owned player. So yeah, Devin Carter is the guy. I will maneuver it down as news comes out, I'm sure, but right now preloaded 80%, just fine with it.
Guys, don't forget, while we only have 15 minutes to go in NBA Live before lock, this show does not end at 7 o'clock. NBA Live after lock with Greg Ehrenberg will be starting up at 7. He's going to take you through any late swaps that pop up after 7 o'clock, and he is certainly going to take you into the props tool to drop any bets he could find. And as this news pops up, if you guys can react fast enough with Greg, I think it's going to be a very profitable endeavor for you guys, at least in terms of getting CLV. Whether or not those bets win, you never know. But I think Greg's going to put you guys in a fantastic spot. He will be live coming up after this as we take this final run up to this massive slate for today. Is there a name we haven't talked about yet that's popping up in your exposures that we need to touch on for today?
Yeah, let's go through Grant Williams, because this is really annoying. He's starting at the 4. Again, I wasn't positive because like Colt Brenner came back from injury, and he's been playing backup center because Diabate's been so good on the defensive end, and they keep winning basketball games. That seems pretty important. And now him and, well, I guess what's his face? Miles Bridges was always a bad boy, but we've got ourselves Grant Williams at power forward early, and I've currently got 22% of him. Feels a little heavy, but at 3,800, he's definitely the guy that I'm all right with. This entire Hornets team's just pulling a lot of ownership against Atlanta. We got Atlanta in across the board here, but now without Bridges, without Diabate, I think there's a lot of like time at the 5 that could just be waiting. They have Xavier Tillman on the roster. I don't think we have him like projected for any okay, we have him like 6 minutes. But like Grant Williams is, I think, like your most likely backup center, a lot of minutes, and he's super, super cheap. So like 3,800, I'm kind of all right with it to some extent. I don't want to go crazier than this, but like Brandon Miller at small forward makes some sense as well. Just a little overowned. Con Knipple overowned. LaMelo Ball about right. Although we got Tyrese Maxey in, and thank God, because I was getting like 50% LaMelo before this show. Overall, every freaking time. I get it. You just got done with Mahjong. I get it. She needs to stop. I've told her 3 times, stop calling me. And now she calls me more. I don't get it.
Is that what my name is now? We're calling me Mahjong? Oh, man. Greg got here 2 seconds too late. What about you guys don't know that Greg just came and is getting himself ready, but Greg just missed a great joke about Eric's mom, and I know he'll be bummed to hear that he missed it, but I think that went well. Chat seems to appreciate it.
I hate you so much. Yeah. I hate everyone so much.
So apparently I go by Mahjong now. That's what she's doing every day. Mahjong, that is.
Anyway, I just wanted to talk through the Charlotte spot because that's something we hadn't discussed, and they're all pulling a lot of ownership. I'm lower on pretty much everybody on the screen outside of Grant Williams.
All right, let me see if we have anything on Discord right now. Just in case we got any messages in, I want to make sure that we hit them. And we do have a couple. J-Rock hit me with a happy birthday, so I want to say happy birthday. Or I don't want to say happy birthday back to him. That would be fucking weird. Thank you are the words that I'm looking for in that way.
Weird.
The Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Denny, or Cade and Sadiq Bey on DraftKings. Ooh. A lot of names I have not thought about today.
Yeah, I didn't think a lot about Cade. It's because Maxey just looks so much better now, but
it's probably Cade and Bey for me. I don't have much interest in Nickeil Alexander-Walker today. Or Denny, really, for that matter. Yeah, that's going to be Cade and Sadiq Bey for me.
I guess I don't really have a lot of all 4, so there's that.
Here's one I think we could touch on. Let's take a peek at the highest positive and negative leverage plays that we have right now. And if we have any thoughts on any of these guys, let's just shout it out. I've mentioned Cam Jones a couple times. 4K point guard, shooting guard, eligible on Indy. He is our highest leverage option. Is that a direction you're going right now?
Yes. I mean, pretty much anything Indy and react to the starting lineup. Like that's what you're going to want to watch. I mean, we're going to have tons of opportunities for you guys to find some profitable bets, talk through some injury information, but like with Walker and Micah Potter both in, seeing the starting lineup and exactly what goes down with it, very, very important. Assuming Cam Jones is in it, he's a decent enough fantasy performer, 4K. This just kind of builds towards those stars and scrubs lineups we talked about, or, like 5K center type lineups, because, you're going to be able to spend up everywhere.
Number 2 in leverage, my boy from yesterday, Quentin Jackson, 3,800 shooting guard, small forward eligible. I don't think you and I are disagreeing here. I think he still looks amazing.
Exceptional.
Yeah. Where do you land on KPJ now? This is a very different Milwaukee team. No Ryan Rollins around, 7,900. He is our highest leverage. Yeah. I don't want to say pay up, but I mean, he's 7,900. That's more pay up than anything else.
Yeah, I brought him up for quite a while last night, and then of course Ryan Rollins gets just ruled out from the clouds. But he's one of those dudes that I just don't think they care all that much. He's going to play a ton of minutes in pretty much any scenario. Plus, you don't get Bobby Portis out there, although that would probably be a decent 3-point option for getting some assists and racking that up here. But I think he'll be just fine in that regard as is. We got him in for a 1.25 DraftKings points per minute producer today. He's a really good option as well. Again, 3 guys, no issue with all 3.
Let's look at the opposite of this question, though, which I think is also interesting. Highest negative leverage option for today. $3,600 Micah Potter. 21% owned, 9% optimal.
I'm not playing a poor fantasy producer who doesn't start for Indy. That's pretty straightforward for me.
Number 2 in negative leverage is Devin Carter. I tend to not care that much about negative leverage when the optimal rate is 58. So while he is slightly over-owned, the efficiency of his position is not something I'm stressing. And then after that, it kind of falls off pretty dramatically. Only 2 guys above 4%. That's Con Knipple and Khalil Ware. I certainly don't have any issue getting to Ware, although the ownership is climbing enough that I don't find him as interesting as I thought he would be if he were lower owned in this scenario. Knipple is just a guy that I would always be willing to have. I don't really have much of a take on him.
He's going to play a boatload. I mean, he's like the guy that I think I had the most minutes for just about anybody on Charlotte. So yeah, I mean, we've got the most minutes for Con Knipple in this spot, and no Bridges and no Diabate. I mean, there's just so many. There's not a ton of dudes they want to go down into that bench for, and he's been exceptional, absolutely exceptional this year. Going to play a ton, but again, I'm lower than the field what it's worth.
Super chat for FanDuel from our boy KGDR24. FanDuel power forward or small forward, $4,200 or less.
Okay.
Let's figure it out. This might be very easy.
The wolf down there. No, Grant Williams, 3,800, but such as
it's Grant Williams.
I had the wrong.
It's 100% Grant Williams.
Grant Williams, 3,700.
Yeah, there's nobody even close.
Nope.
He's got a 15% optimal. Nobody above him fits for salary. And if we're using 4,200, the next closest guy is Kobe Brown, half that. So yeah, it's Grant Williams almost by default. It's almost a bad spot to be in with that amount of salary.
Agreed.
Alrighty. Any major news that you are keeping your eye on or building for as we're working through the rest of this?
Julius Randle, again, there's not a ton of value that's going to go crazy for me. Like, Io's still in the mid-range. It hasn't completely set up in a spot where I would want to play a ton of him. If he got the start, I suppose it could look ridiculous, but Bones Highland a little bit supposedly could end up being there. But with Naz Reid in today, it's a little bit annoying. I thought maybe there was a chance he'd get suspended. He did not. I mean, it wasn't nearly as egregious as the other fighting that went on around the association that evening. So that probably worked to his the opposite of a detriment. That probably worked in his favor, if you will. So I would assume would be interesting in the start there if they decide to bring him in. If you get Edwards out, they could go the Highland route, but no matter what, Julius Randle is going to look exceptional to me. Dante DiVincenzo would look a little bit better, although would not be nearly the kind of priority on this slate where we just have so many ludicrous type values. Nobody gets to that point at their current price points outside of Julius Randle.
There's one team we haven't really said anything about, and I think we would be remiss if we... Devin Booker questionable, Jalen Green questionable, Grayson Allen and Isaiah Livers already out. Absolutely no ownership coming in here, but you lop Jalen Green and Devin Booker out of this one, and I have to imagine something's going to look decent here.
I ran it. Jordan Goodwin, I thought would look awesome, and he just doesn't. 5,500 shooting guard small forward against OKC. He's a decent fantasy performer, but the blowout potential's there. It's the second end of the back-to-back. I think Ryan Dunn probably sweeps up some of those minutes. It just gets a little uncomfortable. You have a ridiculous price up that they did for Colin Gillespie right off the bat too, which saves you from having to really factor that in too much. I still think like him and Dylan Brooks are in play in spots where you get Booker and Green out, but like, again, kind of speaking to this slate as a whole, like we're going to have lineup spots late. I built in the Reynuds, the Jokic's at center utility. I built in a lot of these other pieces that we've got that we can maneuver some things around for, but like, I can't imagine that I want to prioritize any of them at 1%, and then they become like 4 or 5% type options. They were preemptively priced up for the potential that those guys sat already, and I don't love it.
We had a question for FanDuel. If Ant is in, Randall or Jared Allen, that is Randall by quite a bit for me.
Right. Ton.
And obviously, if Ant happens to be out, it's Randall by miles and miles.
Correct.
JT Mack, must-haves in the Millie Maker. Also, Sharpe, Reynaud, good at center and utility. I have no problem with that combo whatsoever. In terms of must-haves, I mean, if you've already got Sharpe, I think the only other one that's a must-have would be Devin Carter. Quentin Jackson would be pretty close to it. Otherwise, I don't think there's any other musts.
Perfectly said.
Yeah, Sharpe, Carter, Quentin Jackson are the only things resembling musts. Anything else, totally up in the air.
God, I have 0.
3 minutes.
Good Lord.
Left to go. Ballmer hitting us with one late here. Jokic and Cam Jones or KPJ and Randall. High dollar single entry. That's got to be Jokic and Cam Jones, I think.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. You know, if Randall happens to get a situation without Ant, that would be great. But I do want to pour one out today. Sad day. Backup quarterback for the West Canaan Coyotes, John Moxon.
Yeah.
RIP. Already down Lance Harbor. Now Tweeters at under center. Billy Bob's already gone. It's been a tough stretch, man.
Yeah. I ran into him a lot in LA back in the day. He would, we had some mutual friends. We had like, I didn't like spend any time around him really, but every time I'd run into him or I was with like a group that, you know, was familiar with him from like, there's a acting coach in town that he was working with, you know, pretty much his entire career. And he was just the sweetest dude. And I never heard one bad thing about him ever. Cancer sucks. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Sure does, man. In a weird way, he's like mildly responsible for me living where I live, which is kind of crazy.
You did say that once upon a time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Dawson's Creek filmed in Wilmington, North Carolina. Part of the reason that I live here is the fact that I knew that and found that interesting and like came here before I actually moved here. But yeah, that's that one's a bummer, man. That one's a bummer.
Only the good die young. And yeah, not making it to 50, dude. That's the kind of stuff, you know, was getting ready two and change months away from having a kid. It's just like, that's the stuff that just terrifies me. It's just like, holy shit.
Isaac Dietz says, sorry for your guys' loss. I mean, not really our loss, but yeah, sorry for their loss for sure.
As a whole, again, just a lovely dude. Every time I saw him out in the world, he was lovely with everybody and never like, you know, he'd be like with his kids. I think he had like 6 kids or something. And he'd be like with one of his kids or, you know, getting coffee or doing whatever. And I'd just randomly be at Coffee Bean and he'd just be like, yeah, sure, I'll take a picture. He'd just kick it. Like he was a sweet dude.
Yeah, I mean, I like that show was over by the time I got here, but One Tree Hill was still going. And like basically a second version of that show just running again. Saw those guys out everywhere. They were all generally pretty good peeps in my social situations. But nobody gives a shit about that any longer, folks, because we are 15 seconds from lock, which means you guys are 15 seconds away from Greg Ehrenberg and live after lock. He is going to break everything down for you guys for any sort of late swap opportunities coming up after 7 o'clock, along with what I can only imagine will be a couple really interesting options in our prop tool, especially if some of these Q tags start dropping. If you get a Q tag out on Devin Booker, Greg is going to be there for you guys to immediately hit that props tool and try to find out the best possible path forward. So we are locked now, which means live after lock is here. Greg Ehrenberg, welcome.
I think you guys missed that Ant was ruled in.
Oh, he was? I didn't see that. We were chatting.
Yeah.
We were chatting. Well,
Yeah. Ann is in.
It was
so we got Ann
6:58. I didn't really care to say it.
I like the circling back, being like, I knew, I just didn't want to say anything. But
we were talking about death, Greg. We were talking about death.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
Yeah, of course. What Dawson's Creek. Got to cover Dawson's Creek. By the way, Andrew Wiggins was just ruled out. So it doesn't matter when. Apparently, it doesn't matter when I do a show on the YouTube channel. If there's enough games, people are just going to get ruled in and out as I come on the show. So, Josh, Eric, have a good night, guys.
Have fun.
Buddy.
Later on, boys.
All right. So, right off the bat, guys, we have some injury news. We've got, obviously Ant being out or Ant being in doesn't really matter all that much because everything kind of stays the same. But Andrew Wiggins being ruled out for tonight, that is going to be something that could impact some of the value that we have on Miami, especially because Miami was already going to be shorthanded today because joining Andrew Wiggins out, Norman Powell is out. Tyler Hero remains out. Pelle Larson is out as well. So who's even active for Miami today? We have, let's do some counting. Bam, our arch nemesis right now, Khalil Ware, who's he better not be fouling people again today. But Bam, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Davion Mitchell, Fontecchio, Jacusionis, Drew Smith, Jovic, Myron Gardner. Those are the only 9 guys who are regularly a part of the rotation. You got like the end of the bench guys that we rarely see, like Keshad Johnson and Vladislav Golden. But as far as normal rotation guys for the Heat, we've got 9 of them today. So that's going to be a shorthanded team. I'm pretty interested to see what our projections end up looking like once that updates. And then also good amount of boost bets for us to build out today as well. There's a 50% same game parlay boost that I had over on FanDuel. And then on DraftKings, I have, let's see, what do we have for DraftKings? DraftKings, there is a 30% same game parlay boost. There's another one of those head-to-head profit boosts. There is some hockey stuff. Who gives a shit about that? But either way, we're going to have some interesting things to look at. I don't know if you guys paid attention all that close last night, but we got a super tough beat on our FanDuel SGP last night. We had the Dylan Brooks leg hit, the Max Christie leg hit no problem. We had the over on his rebounds. He finished with 6. We had last night, everything was about to win. We had Jalen Green for under 4.5 RA. He's at 4. There's a handful of minutes left in the game. The bench is there, ready to check in for Jalen Green. Right before he checks out, he gets 1 assist and comes out of the game like 30, 45 seconds before checking out. And other than that, we had that one won. So a close call last night, but hopefully we could hit on one for today. Let's see if we've got some of the Miami Heat projections updated here. Let's see. And not quite yet. We'll be keeping an eye on this, though. This is going to be priority number 1. I have to update my lineups. I'm sure you guys have to update your lineups as well. But let's just look right now at what some of the Miami Heat guys are looking like. Khalil Ware, who once again is going to be projecting really well for tonight's slate. He's going to look, a little bit better. Oh, Frankie Lofton, somebody missed your super chat. Shame. Well, I'll make sure to go get to that. Let me finish this thought on the Miami Heat, and then I'll pull up your super chat here at the same time. Anyway, as I talk through this, so Khalil Ware, he was the only guy who was really pulling ownership from the Heat in this game prior to the news on Wiggins, and justified. I know we had the disappointing situation where Ware got into foul trouble last game, but I mean, still just being logical, he's a very good points per minute fantasy producer. Presumably, he's going to start again. If he doesn't start, then this, changes the equation. But assuming he starts, you've got a guy who averages well over a fantasy point per minute. We've got him projected for 1.24. For comparison, 1.24 fantasy points per minute for Khalil Ware, 1.25 for Bam Adebayo. So from a fantasy standpoint, keep in mind, only talking about DFS here, not talking about them as real-life players. Entirely different story. As DFS assets, they are very, very similar. The difference, though, is that Ware is a little bit more uncertain playing time, and, he's a goofball. He could just foul people out right away. But we had last game, he was really good from a fantasy standpoint, points per minute. We just didn't get the playing time out of him because he fouled out in 15 minutes or whatever it was. But anyway, I have Khalil Ware in about 30% of my lineups, so he's looking really good We didn't have anybody else that was pulling ownership or projecting all that well from the Miami Heat, but I'm interested to see how this could end up changing. So like Fontecchio, and also pretty good matchup against the Pelicans. Fontecchio, I would assume that we see a pretty decent boost for him. I'm going to actually look at some on-off court numbers, but I assume the sample size is probably going to be pretty small here because it's almost everybody out for the Miami Heat. Like if I take Wiggins, Norman Powell, Pelle Larsson, and Tyler Hero off the court, that's some. It's not like a massive sample size this year, but for reference, Fontecchio, with all those guys off the court, Fontecchio scores 40 fantasy points per 36 minutes. Like that's pretty significant. Khalil Ware, by the way, 50 fantasy points per 36 minutes with those guys off the court. Who else gets a pretty big boost? Those are the biggest ones. Myron Gardner, also a little bit more of a boost, but Fontecchio seems to get the biggest boost in terms of on-off court numbers. Usage rate goes up by a couple percentage points. And then, already a guy who's, for a wing, 0.93 fantasy points per minute. It's not terrible. So if we see Fontecchio get projected for, let's say, like 30 minutes now with Wiggins out, then we're probably going to have a fantasy point projection of like 28 or something for Fontecchio. So he looks really good to me at first glance. But we'll see if if our projections and data team agree with him and that gets updated. Frankie Lofton, Huff or Gigi Jackson, or Clifford or Carr. Okay, so it's a 1v1v1v1. You want to know who to roster out of all four of those guys. So you have Huff, Gigi Jackson, you have Clifford, and you have Cardwell. So my two favorite of those are going to be Clifford and Cardwell. Boy, it's really close between the two of them. I've got 25% of Cardwell in my lineups, and I have 25% of Nick Clifford. All right, let's see who we have projected better. And we could have that be the tiebreaker here. Clifford, we have in for 32.11 fantasy points. And then Cardwell, we've in for, look how close it is, 32.67. I don't think you can go wrong either way. They both look really good to me. They're comparable options. I'm going to go with Cardwell. Super close, though. Both of them are really good plays, Frankie. Both of them are really good options. All right, let's see if we got the update here for the Miami Heat. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Let's look at the FanDuel pricing while we're waiting for the projections update to come. And we'll see what we're looking at from Miami. By the way, as far as injury news that we're still waiting on, because obviously this was a big one. We're also waiting on starting lineups. Some of those could be close to anything. Like, for example, we don't yet have the starting lineup for the Indiana Pacers. We have to be getting that Pacers starting lineup soon. The game starts in 22 minutes, and that is a very different looking team today than what it normally is. So that starting lineup could be almost anything. We've got available for the Pacers today Jarace Walker, Quentin Jackson, Jay Huff, Cam Jones, Ben Shepherd, Ethan Thompson, Kobe Brown, Micah Potter, and Talon Peters. So only 9 active players for the Pacers, and wouldn't be really too shocking any kind of combination of those guys as the starting lineup. So waiting on that news, that starting lineup, that's going to be important. We've also got the other players who are questionable for today. Devin Booker is still questionable. We've got no, Castle's not on the main slate. We've got D'Anthony Melton questionable. Tari Eason is questionable. Those ones aren't going to be quite as important. But yeah, I would say that for sure the Devin Booker news, pretty damn important for today. And then kind of odd that Jalen Green is questionable. I mean, I guess just because he's a high usage guy, he kind of matters. But I'd be pretty surprised if he plays on the tail end of a back-to-back. I'd be surprised. See if there's any questions in Discord while we await the projections update. And yes, we have a couple of them here, or one anyway. I rounded up from 1 to 2. That's how it goes. Bronx boy Rob, what's going on, Greg? I have $4,500 left and keep switching back and forth. Who do you like, Devin Carter or Andre Drummond? He wants to know. All right, who do I have more of between the two? That is so easily Devin Carter. Like, not even close. Not even close between the two. I was wondering if like Drummond was a much higher price point or something. For reference, Devin Carter is in 66% of my lineups. Andre Drummond is in 8% of my lineups. Look at the projection difference between the two. By the way, on the FanDuel side of things, just because I had it up, Bam was pulling some ownership. Where very popular over on FanDuel, and then also just like over on DraftKings, nobody else pulling ownership, at least prior to the update on the Miami Heat. All right, so he wanted to know about Devin Carter and Andre Drummond. Devin Carter, we have projected for 33.4 fantasy points. Andre Drummond, we project for 27.31. Whenever you've got two guys who there's a gap between them of 6 fantasy points, it's going to be the guy, unless they're, I can't even think what the crazy outlier scenario would be, but a 6 fantasy point gap, it is always going to be the guy who's projected for more fantasy points. Always. I'll give you guys my best prediction for the Indiana Pacers starting lineup and also show you what we have in here. I have a feeling the data team might just be waiting for the Pacers starting lineup to come out before pushing the next update. But here's what we did for our projected starting lineup on the Pacers. We are assuming in our projections that the starting lineup is Cam Jones, Kobe Brown, Quentin Jackson, Jarace Walker, and Jay Huff. So if we see any starting lineup that's different than those guys, then it is going to change our projections. Did it just come in as I was talking? Let's see. Somebody said it's out. I don't see the starting lineup confirmed for the Pacers. Let's see. Yeah, I'm looking. Booker out now, too. And Jalen Green. Well, there we go. Jalen Green, it stood to reason that Jalen Green was going to be out. Now we've got Booker out as well. So more projections to be updated. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. Let's go and look at the Phoenix Suns. What do we have as the abbreviation for Phoenix in here? PHX, maybe? I guess it's PHX. All right, here we go. So here are the price points, at least on these guys. We have Devin Booker now out, $8,300. Why was Jalen Green not just ruled out earlier in the day? There's no way they were ever planning on playing Jalen Green for today. He's played, what, 5 games the entire year? Has played over 20 minutes once, tail end of a back-to-back. They knew he was sitting today. We could have gotten that information earlier. But anyway, Dillon Brooks is going to have a massive usage rate now. Dillon Brooks' numbers this year with Devin Booker off the court. I'm going off memory, and I'm pulling it up as I'm talking, but his usage rate is somewhere in like the mid 30% rate. So I'm going to take Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, and Jalen Green all off for the Phoenix Suns. Yeah, listen to this. Dillon Brooks with Booker, Allen, and Green off the court this year has a 38.7% usage rate. He only shoots 37% from the field with those guys off the court. He's not efficient, but that is a massive usage rate for a guy who is $6,800. I'm curious to see what his ownership ends up being, but I am going to be pretty interested in Dillon Brooks against OKC for tonight with that kind of usage. Hate the matchup, obviously, and there's some blowout risk there, but if we get a contrarian Dillon Brooks with a close to 40% usage rate, yeah, people in chat. Darryl Poston, what's his tech rate? High. You know, if we roster Books, then he will get ejected. I've avoided that so far this year. Dillon Brooks has been good to me. Anytime I've gone in on Dillon Brooks, it's gone well this year. But I mean, those on-off court numbers are hard to ignore. 38.7% usage rate with these guys off the court. Gillespie, $6,800. He's also going to look really good. By the way, Gillespie, who I don't want to bury the lead here. Gillespie is the best fantasy producer on the team with those guys off the court. 46.93 fantasy points per 36 minutes. He's going to be very popular now, I assume. Dylan Brooks is somebody who I'm going to like, who I don't think is going to pull as much ownership. But Gillespie just instantly becomes one of the top plays on the slate. Instantly. See if we got a projections update here. Also, I'm still looking for, by the way, 76ers starting lineup. Adem Bona starting over Andre Drummond. So we got that question before about Drummond. He looks much less enticing now. 76ers starting lineup. It is Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Kelly Oubre, Dominic Barlow, and Adem Bona. What do we have as a projection on Bona? We'll get to the bets too here, guys. But this is like so much DFS news, an overwhelming amount, that got to make sure that we cover this. Hopefully after the 7:30 games lock, things will settle down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this is just wild right now. Do we have a projections update? Not quite yet. Somebody had said before that we had the Pacers starting lineup. I have been looking everywhere since somebody said that, and I cannot find it anywhere. Has anybody else seen a Pacers starting lineup that I'm missing? Because I'm not seeing. And by the way, I'm not seeing the Nets starting lineup either. Game starts in 13 minutes. We don't have starters for either of them. I'm doing a Twitter search. I'm trying my hardest, but you can't just like try harder to make lineups appear. They're just not there. But I'm looking for everything on Twitter. I'm looking for people who are at the game, who maybe took like a picture of the scoreboard or something. But no, it's just injury reports for the Pacers. Yeah, also Underdog hasn't posted anything on either of those teams. No green, there aren't even fake green check marks on FanDuel and DraftKings. Yeah, look at that. Junior Whopper, no green check marks. Let's see if there's any other questions in Discord for now. We do. We've got one from DK801. If Jokic is taking the utility spot, do you like Sharpe or Ware more for single entry DK tourneys? So for my, well, one thing to note here is, if I'm not mistaken on the timing of the games, yeah, Jokic's game is at 9. You should not, if you are playing Dayron Sharpe, Jokic should be in the center spot and Sharpe should be in the utility. Or I'm sorry, I meant to say Sharpe should be in the center spot and Jokic should be in the utility. Did I? Okay, never mind. I misread your thing. Okay. Yeah. Just make sure you have the latest locking player in the utility spot. But it looks like you did do that, and I just read this wrong. But anyway, so you've got Jokic. Do I prefer Sharpe or Ware? So pending the starting lineup, I like Sharpe. Sharpe's my most rostered player right now, but I'm getting a little nervous that we don't have the Nets starting lineup yet. Oh, the Nets lineup just come out? Here it is. Oh, yeah, a second ago. Nets starters, as I was talking. All right, Sharpe confirmed starting. We have here Igor Gioman, Nolan Traore, Terrence Mann, Zaire Williams, and Dayron Sharpe. Is that what we had projected here? Oh, we just got a projections update, by the way. All right, what do we have as the projected starting lineup for the Nets? We had Wolf starting. So it's going to be Wolf out of the starting lineup, and instead it is going to be Terrence Mann. So that is one thing that we do not have accounted for in our projections right here. Let's look really quickly at the Miami guys and see what these projections look like now. The Miami Heat. We now have... Wait, why is Wiggins still in? Let me reload this one time. He should be out. All right, let's see. Let's go to Miami. Here we go. All right. Yeah, that was weird. All right, anyway. So for Miami, we're currently projecting Myron Gardner to go back into the starting lineup. Gardner, we have projected at $3,500 to play a little bit over 20 minutes. Doesn't give him a great fantasy point projection, 19.69, but Fontecchio. This is who I'm most interested in here on the team right now. Fontecchio at $4,300. We were pretty modest with his minutes, only gave him 26. That puts him at 24.5 fantasy points. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays a couple more minutes than that. And then we get him into, like the 26, 27 fantasy point projection. And there we go. Pacers starting lineup. As far as everybody else, nobody else too impacted from Miami Heat, but Fontecchio definitely looks good now. And Myron Gardner looks a little bit better as well. Starting lineup for the Pacers. We've got, relative to our projection, we had Jones, Shepard, that's the same as what we had projection. Brown and Walker, and then JF. Cool. So at least in the projection update that we just ran, we did not expect Quentin Jackson to start. So good job on the data team, because our last projections update had Quentin Jackson off the bench. So we're all squared up on Miami. We're all good there. The Nets are going to have to be updated with Wolf coming off the bench now. So that is going to require an update. What do we have for the 76ers now as well? Because we've got a Dem Bona starting for Philly. What does Bona look like? You guys want to see Bona? Here we go. $3,500, and as a big man, pretty poor 0.76 fantasy point per minute projection. So we get Bona at 18.81 fantasy points. Center only. He's not somebody who's going to matter all that much. The real big impact of Drummond coming off the bench, it's not that Bona looks good, it's that Drummond looks much less good. Drummond, we now have projected for 24.5 fantasy points, center only eligible, 22.81 minutes. So Drummond became a much thinner play in light of this news. On the FanDuel side of things, we just got an ownership update as well. Let's look at the Miami ownership for FanDuel now. I imagine Kel'el Ware is going to be crazy popular. It's only 30%. We've got his optimal rate at 46% now. So Kel'el Ware, is he going to do something stupid? Like, it's like he doesn't foul out today, but he drop kicks Eric Spoelstra and gets kicked out of the game and they suspend him or something. I mean, we got to play Ware in this spot, but it's the right play. Hard to feel great about it after the other day, though. Mastermind Magruder wants to know Maxime Renaud or Jarace Walker. So that for me is going to be Jarace Walker. And then also he says $6,200 or less for the utility spot. Let's see. Working on updating my lineups as I talk too. Let's see, $6,200 or less. Well, I was going to say Jarace Walker, but you've already got him in the lineup. Probably Neat Clifford. Leave salary on the table, but I think that is the guy there. Let's look at the Phoenix Suns projections now. They should be updated. What do we have for Phoenix? I thought Gillespie's projection was going to be higher. We actually had Dylan Brooks projected higher than Gillespie. I'm going to be boosting Gillespie. I'm giving Gillespie a better, based on what his on-off court numbers are with some of these guys off the court. I'm going to be higher on Gillespie than us. Is Wolf still in play? He's still in play. He's just a much weaker option. And then I prefer Fontecchio to Quentin Jackson now. Junior Whopper. Ben Shepard or Quentin Jackson for FanDuel. Quentin Jackson over Shepard. Shepard's a really poor fantasy producer. Let's go to Indy. So we've got Jackson for 22.8 fantasy points and Shepard for 21.81. There's more upside in Quentin Jackson. 0.98 fantasy points per minute compared to 0.73 for Shepard. So it's not that Jackson is, unplayable now. That's certainly not the case. It's just he was really good looking before we changed to have him projected to come off the bench. And now he just looks fine. He looks like a good value play, but not like a top play on the slate or anything. There's a lot of better guys to get to than him at this point. All right, time to start working on these updates because we are running short on time. But no favors were done for us by the Pacers or the Nets by putting their lineups out so late. So what can you do? I'm going to check Discord to see if you guys have any questions while I update everything. How are you guys doing on your lineups? Any issues? All good? All right. Late swap going through. And yeah, ownership, Rich is pushing it through right now, he said, but I'm just running it right now. I'm just running it. And my sim is running. I would run it right now. There's only 4 minutes to go. I would run it right now just in case. I would run it right now. And then if the ownership updates in the next couple of minutes, then I would do one more run afterwards. But just to make sure I have stuff updated, I'm running everything through now. Let's see. Some other questions we have in Discord here, at least one question in Discord. Einsteinium, with Paul Reed starting, do you think Scotty Barnes plays more 5 tonight? Maybe. Maybe. I don't think that's it's hard to say. Keep in mind that Jakob Poeltl is back today. Like, Poeltl's not going to play a ton of minutes or anything like that. But like, I don't think we're going to see some like massive amount of Scotty Barnes center minutes. We have a DK 2v2 here. All right, updated my lineups. Let you guys know the big changes. Quentin Jackson came down a little. Yeah, so the biggest change in my lineups was Quentin Jackson. I got to, like, I still have 40% of Quentin Jackson, but I had over 60% of him before. So that was definitely a change for me. And also kind of like goes to show, I said before, still a good value play, just not as good as he was before. And I'll run everything through the late swap one more time to see if I get any more additional changes running everything. All right. James's question. It is a 2v2. Barlow and Jaylen Brown. Oh, okay. I see. So it is a 2v2v2v2. Barlow, Jaylen Brown, Ware, Hawkes, or Brooks Reed. That is Ware and Hawkes for me. Ware and Hawkes. Ware and Hawkes. I just realized I forgot to do the Gillespie boost that I wanted to do. So I'll have to do that right now on this next swap run. I was just trying to make sure I got everything through and didn't do that change. All right. So I'll do one. What did I have of Gillespie? I have him. Yeah, I just don't have him in lineups. I'm changing that. I'm giving an ROI. I'm going to give a 10% ROI boost to Gillespie. See if that gets him into lineups. It did not. I'm going to do another boost. Did that get him into lineups? All right. The Sims do not want me to play Gillespie today. They will not allow. I gave him a 30% ROI boost, and he showed up in 0% of lineups. And I've got 1 minute to go until these next games start, so I'm just uploading what I have. And the alternative is I don't get lineups updated, so I'm rolling with it. Do we have anything else in Discord? We do not. So with that in mind, we are going to move on to waiting for any other news. So here's what we have now that we're waiting for the next upcoming slate of games. We have who's questionable now. Castle, it doesn't matter though. Not on the slate. We didn't need all these games, by the way. We could have had some games yesterday, some tomorrow, and also DraftKings FanDuel. We didn't have to put all these on the same slate. So mostly just starting lineups that we're waiting for now, or any other unforeseen news that occurs. So I think we're pretty settled at the moment, but you never know what things could end up changing. You never know. So let's try to build out some of our boost bets here. And if you guys have any other questions or any other news breaks, as per usual, we will absolutely go ahead and cover all of those. Let's see. Where do you guys want to start? Do you want to start on DraftKings today? Start on DraftKings today? DraftKings has some better options than FanDuel as far as boosts go. They gave me, I had like an Olympic boost on DraftKings. There was like 2 hockey boosts. I didn't even know what some of these things were. There was a power hour boost. 25% profit boost for any NBA head-to-head bet. We'll pass on that for now. Let's build out an SGP. What do we have for the SGP for today? Is it the standard one? Usually, yeah. Okay, so we have, by the way, Wolves starting lineup. Edwards, DiVincenzo, McDaniels, Randall, Gobert. We heard earlier that Anthony Edwards is going to play, but now we have it confirmed, which is good to know. Good to know that he's absolutely in there now. So we have for DraftKings, same deal as usual. Oh, no, it's not. 3 legs today. They're letting us make a 3-leg same game parlay instead of making us do 4. All right. All right. So we could do the, what was the, Stephen Leibowitz, what was the head-to-head one for us last night? I actually don't remember. I have to go back through my bet history. Which one was it? Go through my, oh yeah, you're right. Never mind. It was Booker versus Cooper Flag. That one did not end up winning. I was thinking of a different one. Yeah. Booker did not outscore Cooper Flag. SMP. Yeah, this was a tough slate for news. This was a tough, there was so much that came out at once. No more of these we should tell the NBA, no more 13 game slates. No more of them. Yeah, we did get the starting lineup confirmed for the Miami Heat. Miami Heat starting lineup. It is for the, no, we didn't have a Heat starting lineup. I think we heard that Myron Gardner is going to Rich missed all of his swaps. By the way, Rich, even though I ran everything through late swap, I still end up with, I have less of Quentin Jackson than I had before, but I mean, he's still in, 35% of lineups for me. So still somebody who shows up in a lot. Like, I don't think it's the end of the world. You have some of that. But yeah, a lot of news today. I kind of do wish that I would have gone a little bit lighter on Quentin Jackson. When there's just so many moving parts, though, sometimes I'll just run everything through and I'll just whatever I get at that point. But anyway, all right, let's build out our DraftKings SGP. Like I said, a little bit of a change today. They're only making us build a 3-legger. We don't have to go 4 legs today. Is the whole Heat starting? I saw that Myron Gardner is expected. Oh, here it is. Now we have the Heat starting lineup. Yeah. Davion Mitchell, Fontecchio, Myron Gardner, Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware. That is what we had projected after Wiggins was ruled out. So we're good. We're good on that. We are good. Let's refresh this. I'm going to change this to just entirely our projections instead of the 50-50 now that we've got a recent projections update. And let's see. What looks good on DraftKings? What looks good? See if there's any games that we see showing up more than other ones, and then we can start looking at that a little bit more. Spurs, Rockets, Clippers, also Spurs, Warriors. We've got Spurs again. Spurs. Oh, so a lot of bets for the Spurs Warriors game. And that's also a 10 p.m. start. Although with that, okay, so there are a lot of unders that are populating for the Spurs, but it's kind of because these are hedge lines because Castle's questionable. I actually don't really want to touch these with Castle being questionable, because if Castle ends up playing, then these unders are not going to look good on the Spurs side. I'm sorry. I mean, if Castle gets ruled out, then they're not going to look good. So that's part of the reason they're showing up. So let's forego the Spurs. Because, yeah, I mean, if Castle's ruled out, then Harper's going to be projected for like 17 or 18 points plus assists. So let's see what else. Any other games that show up here a ton outside of that one? Miami. We could look at Miami. That could be fun. That game comes up shortly, and we just got the starting lineup confirmed. So what do we have projected well there? A lot of really high plus EV bets. Okay. For Miami, this is a really high rebound line for Bam, with him starting alongside Kel'el Ware. I want to look at what is the rebound rate for Bam when he's playing with Ware. Because if that's substantially lower, then I really do like this line. All right, so per 36 minutes, Bam Adebayo averages 11.3 rebounds per game. It does go down marginally, down to 11 per 36 minutes when he plays alongside Kel'el Ware. And then, also we don't have him projected for 36 minutes. So he does lose out on some rebounds when he plays alongside Ware. So let's go with Bam Adebayo for under 10.5 rebounds, also getting that at plus money. What else on the Miami side of the game? Are there any overs that look good with all the players out? We do have the over on Fontecchio. I want to load this in. I went over Fontecchio before and why I liked him. So Wiggins, if we take Wiggins, Powell, Pelle Larsson, and Tyler Hero off the court, Fontecchio makes 4.4 threes per 36 minutes with those guys off the court. I like over 2.5 threes plus money on Fontecchio. Yeah, let's add that. Usage rate for him, yeah, north of 20% when those guys are off the court. Typically under 20%. So we got two legs here that I like so far. Bam Adebayo under 10.5 rebounds. Fontecchio over 2.5 threes. So we just need one more bet that we could find here. We can't use the Bam one again because that's rebounds plus assists. Oh, interesting. Misi was just downgraded. All right. Is there a Derek Queen over in here? We've got the over. Okay. So I don't think Misi plays today. I think Misi sits. Also in general, actually, maybe we do this. What if we just do an SGP with all Derek Queen and just add in Derek Queen overs now that Misi is questionable? Can we do that really quick? Let's see if we could beat the books to this. Might be a little bit harder for me to be as fast when I'm on a stream here, but I do not anticipate. I'm going to go, all right, Derek Queen, 8+ rebounds, and I'm going to go Derek Queen, 5+ assists, and I'm going to combine that with the Bam rebound number moved. So, all right, so we're not going to play the Bam rebound number, but I'll keep in the Fontecchio 3-point line. Okay. Betting this, and I'll post it to Tails as well. So here's what I'm doing. I went with, to just take advantage of the Misi situation that popped up really quick, I went with Derek Queen over 7.5 rebounds, Simone Fontecchio over 2.5 threes, and Derek Queen over 4.5 assists. With the boost, it came out to plus 845. And I'll post that to Tails right now. Like, why would you downgrade Misi to questionable 20 minutes before the game starts if he's still going to play? That would be extremely tilting and annoying. Also, we should anticipate now. We should make some changes right now. Late swap and boost Derek Queen. That's what I'm about to do after I post this bet to Tails. What is Derek Queen's price point? Didn't think about Derek Queen really at all today. Okay, Derek Queen. 6K Derek Queen. His minutes are almost always in flux with Misi. I love Derek Queen now. Derek Queen just became my favorite play on the slate. He was 3% projected ownership. Now the question becomes, how much space do we have to swap to him, though? And the bet that I just posted is going up to tails right now. So posting that. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Yeah, Richie saying he dropped Misi's projection, didn't take him out entirely, boosted Queen. Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive. I'm about to update stuff for myself, and I'm going to take Misi out. And I'm going to look at what have Derek Queen's minutes been in some of the games without Misi. I'm going to check that in a second. Right after I get this bet up. Let's see if FanDuel has lines on Derek Queen also. Does FanDuel have Derek Queen lines that we could take advantage of? These are some of the best situations for SGPs where you're really correlating lines together. Like, so we just got that Queen SGP at like plus 800. That's going to be like plus 400 if Misi gets ruled out. Let's see. Does FanDuel have these lines up? What does FanDuel have for Derek Queen? So FanDuel has for Derek Queen. Oh, FanDuel pulled the lines. FanDuel doesn't have anything up for Queen. Yeah, no rebound props, no points props, no assist props. FanDuel was a little bit safer with this than what DraftKings did. Let's see what Rich did in the updated projection, because he did say he made some adjustments. All right, let's go to New Orleans. Yeah, FanDuel's usually pretty quick there, Caleb. Yeah, Ollie still up on Hard Rock for hit those overs. Same lines we just took on DraftKings. CPA Joe K, what happened with Queen? So nothing happened with, well, not directly, something didn't happen with Queen, but Yves Misi was just downgraded to questionable 20 minutes before the start of the game. I presume he sits, which is going to make Queen look a lot better. That's what happened with Queen. It was what happened with Misi. I mean, this is hard to say because, like, who else are you getting? Yeah, because Georgia here saying drop Jokic, because it's not like you all of a sudden get to play extra players in your lineup. There have to be more changes that were made there. Drop Jokic for Drew, Randall, and Queen. Like, maybe. I just, there's not really enough context there, I don't think. What do I have of Jokic in my lineups? Like, Jokic is, I'd say probably stick with what you have. It's just hard to know exactly what it is you're changing. Drop Jokic. I'm just trying to, did I read this wrong? Drop Jokic. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. Apologies. Apologies. See if there's any questions in Discord. We do. All right. So we've got A Biggs wants to know, can you upload custom projections in the late swap tool? You can. I have a video up on how to do it on the YouTube channel. It'll be easier for you to watch the video than for me to just explain it to you. But I'll try to do it really quick. Have a CSV, one column that says player name, one column that says projection, one column that says ownership. And then you just upload that directly to the Sims, and then you use all your own custom projections. That's the best way for me to. It's very, very easy to do. Bees and you ask, Clifford or Ware? Ware over Clifford for me. And then some questions about ownership. I think Rich is working on it right now. I believe Rich is working on it. Dub K, thoughts on Matkovich? Yes, so that's another interesting one. So Carlo Matkovich, $3,200. So here's what we got in here right now. We've got Derek Queen projected for 26.5 minutes. We've got Yves Misi projected for 13 minutes. We've got Matkovich projected for 15. In the event that Misi doesn't play, which is what I think is going to end up happening, some of these minutes are going to go to Kevon Looney. Let's say we get Looney to like 12 minutes. Then we've still got 8 minutes to allocate. I'd say 4 of them go to Queen or so, maybe a little bit less, but we get Queen to like 28 to 30 minutes. And then I think Matkovich fills in the rest, and then we probably get like 18 minutes or so out of Matkovich, which makes him okay, but not great. That's like my quick math here. EMAC wants to know, will these shows be back after the All-Star break? That is certainly the plan. Planning on doing these for forever, more or less. Dan, so as far as ownership goes, I'm not entirely sure. I know Rich is working on it, but I can't guarantee or deny anything. I'm just running everything right now, and then if we do get an ownership update, then I'll make additional changes. But I think the safest assumption to make is just to run everything with what we have right now, and then make additional changes after. ALS Jets, Collier or Queen? Queen for me over Collier. Queen for me. I'm going to do everything I can to get to more of Derek Queen right now. Paul Reed smashing. Let's see, what is Paul Reed doing right now? I don't hate that. I do have 27%. I've got a lot more of Ware than I have of Reed, but I do have 27% of Reed. So I won't be mad at a big game for B-Ball Paul. He has 9 points and an assist in 4 minutes. Pretty solid. Nathan, don't wait. Just run it. Run your lineups through late swap now. And then if there are further changes that end up coming, then run it again after that. But I would run it right now. I wouldn't wait. ALS Jets, how about Queen and Leonard or Jokic and Clifford? Jokic and Clifford over Queen and Leonard. I barely played any of Kawhi. Barely played Kawhi. There's also the reality of Einsteinium saying that as well. I don't know if there are any spots for Queen between Reed, Sharpe, and Jokic. That's also possible. I want to get to Queen, but he is center only eligible. And yeah, a lot of those spots are taken up already. I think he's power forward eligibility on FanDuel. Unfortunately, I only played on DK tonight. But Derek Queen, is he? Yeah, you do have power forward eligibility on him over on FanDuel. Now I wish I played on FanDuel so I could play more of Derek Queen. But I'm going to start working on my updates here. I think that I feel good about getting the Derek Queen overs in the SGP boost. Sharpe going crazy too. What is Sharpe at? Let's see. Dayron Sharpe is at. I mean, also if Sharpe and Reed have big games, then maybe it doesn't even matter what Derek Queen does. Yeah, Sharpe too. 3 points, 4 boards, 2 assists in 5 minutes. By the way, from Rich. So ownership is updated. The time, okay. Good news for everybody. Ownership is updated. The timestamps are not working. Ownership is good and it's updated now. So go ahead and run every. Oh, by the way, Rich, the ownership timestamp just updated over here. So now ownership is updated and the timestamp is updated. But if you guys ran stuff before, per Rich, it is updated. So we're good. Thank you very much, Christopher. Just says thanks for the show. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to be doing these going forward without a doubt. All right. So let's get some swaps rolling here. And then after we do this, I'll go back and I'll build a FanDuel SGP, and that should finish us out for the night. I'll let you guys know what I got to of Queen. But like Einstein said, it was a good point. It might just be really hard to get to Queen at this point. But I'm gonna boost him by a handful of minutes. And if I do that, yeah, so I'm giving Queen 3 more minutes. If you guys want to do the same thing I'm doing, I'm giving Queen 3 more minutes in our projections. And I'm gonna zero out Misi. No, I mean zeroing out Misi doesn't really matter. He's not gonna show up in lineups anyway. That's more like an OCD thing where I just want him to be at 0 minutes. But for like best practices of updating lineups quickly in late swap, it's not super necessary to actually give Misi 0 minutes if you're doing like a quick change. It feels like it's necessary. Let's see if there's any other questions. We do. Jay Nevi, why isn't ownership updating? It is up. So Rich had said this in chat before. The timestamp is outdated. The ownership is updated though. The timestamp isn't. Chainsaw, how about our old pal Emac doing some guest appearances on the new Live Afterlock show? That could happen. Who knows? Who knows? He's right here. He is right here. All right. I'm going to start running everything through now. I'll also give, now that I've got a few more minutes, I'm going to give Gillespie the update that I'll give Gillespie a little bit of a boost in some rates, and that should have him come up in a little bit more lineups than he got to for me before. So I still want to try to make that happen. Any other questions for us? Yes, some questions in Discord. We've got here from King Yusuf wants to know: do I prefer Şengün and Avdia, or Durant in a DK tournament? I don't really like any of those guys for today, to be honest. And then Bengoville, DeRozan, Brooks, or Bay? Brooks of those guys. Brooks. Went over his usage rate before, but the usage rate for Dylan Brooks this year with Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and Grayson Allen off the court, just under 40%. Like, massive number. So that's going to be my answer there. And then Mighty Quinn, any must plays that stand out for you for the night slate? Unfortunately, I didn't build out lineups for the night slate to be able to answer that without any like real, like I'm just gonna have to make some educated guesses. But off the top of my head, somebody who I probably would like for that slate that I don't think would be massively popular is Gillespie. But I'm talking out of my ass because I don't know what the ownership is for that slate. We had the 13 game main slate. It was hard to do too many other slates, especially when I have this show to do as well. Chad, Queen or Renault? Queen for me. Derek Queen. If I'm not able to get Queen into lineups because I've just used all my spots, and then he has a massive game, that'll be annoying. Although also, if Sharpe and Reed keep going like this, then it might not matter what Queen does anyway. For people asking about Misi is not confirmed out, but he was downgraded to questionable 20 minutes before the game started, which to me is a pretty strong indication that he's not going to play. What would be the point of downgrading him to questionable right before the game and then playing him? Like, I think he's not going to play. All right. Well, I've got my late swap running here. What do we got? I mean, yeah, Sharpe might as well already be optimal. 7.7 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. Massive, massive start there for Sharpe. What about B-Ball Paul? Up to 11 points, an assist, and a steal. Yeah, so I mean, we are kind of getting to a point where Queen won't really matter. I just ran everything late swap. I was only able to get Queen in 2% line. I just don't have enough lineup spots left, which sucks. I ended up with Queen projected for 35.5 fantasy points, and he showed up in 2% of lineups because of a lack of space. So that is what it is, but uploading these lineups. And I am set. There we go. Got everything updated now. Who else is going well right now? I'll look at the leaderboard for most fantasy points. And they'll build out our FanDuel SGP. So we have leading the slate. Whoa, Desmond Bain. Desmond Bain is a gazillion fantasy points. Do I have any Desmond Bain lineups? I do not. I have 0% of Desmond Bain. He's at 29.5 fantasy points with 3.5 minutes left in the second quarter. 20 real life points. Sharpe's up there, 20.75 for him. Any other cheap guys? We've got Buzelis going well. This is going to be a high-scoring slate. There's a lot of guys having a lot of guys having big games right now. Yeah, CZW, 6 3-pointers already for Bain. Hard to project somebody to just be like a 100% 3-point shooter. By the way, if you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and now let's build out one final SGP boost, and then we'll sign off for the night, and then it'll also be time for me to eat some dinner. FanDuel. What is looking good here? Let's go to the top bets for FanDuel. Same deal as what we talked about before. Going to avoid the San Antonio Golden State game with the status pending on Castle for today. Clippers, we've got the John Collins line. For Denver, we've got potential on Jokic under 9.5 assists and Strother under 1.5 threes. No real injury news there. What about for Kings, Utah? With all the guys out for the Kings. Here we go. We've got some overs that project well for the Kings Jazz game. Let's load up on some of these. So Devin Carter to start. Devin Carter is going to play big minutes down the stretch of the season. Also, so many guys out for the Kings. Great matchup as well against the Jazz. Keep you guys up to date or remind you on who's out for the Kings for today. The Kings have no DeAndre Hunter, no Zach LaVine, no Keegan Murray, no Domantas Sabonis, no Malik Monk, no Russell Westbrook. I don't know why DeRozan's playing today, but I don't think DeRozan's going to play a lot of minutes. I think we're getting one of these games where DeRozan plays like 18 to 20 minutes. Clinton, avoid San Antonio. So the reason I said that is for the purposes of building an SGP out with the props tool is that Castle being projected in and then books posting lines that are kind of like in between Castle being in or out. It has a lot of unders looking good from the Spurs that I don't want to bet with Castle being questionable. That's why I want to avoid them for the purpose of building out an SGP. All right, so let's go Devin Carter over 1.5 threes. Let's also go with Nick Clifford for over 4.5 rebounds. Clifford's also going to have to play bigger minutes with all these guys out. I'm going to avoid the DeRozan under from now just because there's such a wide range of outcomes with what his playing time could end up being. But Nick Clifford, listen to the playing time for Nick Clifford the last couple of games with all these guys out. Nick Clifford played 37.5 minutes in a blowout last game and played 40 minutes the game before that against the Cavs. 4.5 rebounds. Yeah, I like the over there. What else? Anything else from the Kings that looks pretty good with all these guys out? There we go. Yves Missi out. Official. There we go. That DraftKings SGP, that one better end up hitting. That better hit. That's a good one. We got a lot. We're going to get a lot of CLV on that. It's the highlight of the night. This is for all the people who stuck around for the late night. That's what we, and also game already locked. So people who didn't plan in advance for Yves Missi being out, you missed out. You missed out on the 2% exposure to Derek Queen that I was able to get. All right, so we've got the Nick Clifford over rebounds. We got the Devin Carter over 1.5 threes, which is also plus money. What does the playing time for Nurkic look like in recent games? I mean, the other thing too that's kind of like something weird happens with Nurkic and he doesn't play today or whatever. Well, guess what? In that kind of event, we're going to have this leg just void, which I would also be totally fine with. Last two starts, 24.5 and 24 minutes for Nurkic. So we got him projected for right here, 23.5. All right, that's of interest. Ace Bailey. Here's another Nurkic line over 13.5 points plus assists. The other one looks a little bit better. The Nurkic over 9.5 points plus money. I kind of want to just play the Nurkic one, get to use the boost for it, and then hope Nurkic just doesn't play. And then it gets voided, and then we just get the boost for the two-legger. Let's do that. Devin Carter, over 1.5 threes. Nick Clifford, over 4.5 rebounds. And Nurkic, over 9.5 points. I also want to check to see what the updated prop lines are for Derek Queen. So Derek Queen's rebound line now and his assist line. Derek Queen's assist line, still 4.5. Okay. The rebound line for Derek Queen, also still just 7.5. It's a little bit more juice than it was before. So you can still play it if you guys wanted to. Slightly worse odds, but it's not nothing that's changed too crazy. Let's build out this one now. We've got, for the Kings and Jazz game, here we go. We are going to go Nurkic over 9.5 points. Oh, we're not. The line has moved. Well, goddamn. Let's try the Nurkic. Yeah, all the lines are moving while I'm talking here. All right, so either way, we're going to go Nick Clifford over 4.5 rebounds. If we go Clifford over 4.5 rebounds, minus 113, that's still available. And Devin Carter over 1.5 threes. Is that line still available? It is. Okay, so those two are still available. Beard Boss Nate, did I bet Bane unders? Sometimes I don't even know what from Portfolio EV. Let me see. No, I did not. I don't have Bane unders. Not today. I think I did the other day. And they lost the other day when I had them. All right, so we need to find one more line. The Nurkic line is gone. The Nurkic one is gone. What about the other Nurkic line? The over Where is it? Oh, we could also go Nurkic under 9.5 rebounds or Nurkic over 13.5 points plus assists. The Nurkic under 9.5 rebounds, that's still available. All right. Well, I'm going to play the Nurkic line, and I am hoping that Nurkic voids and doesn't start today and plays 0 minutes. And then we end up getting to just the two, because I really like our two Kings legs. I really like Clifford over 4.5 rebounds. I really like Devin Carter over 1.5 threes. I don't really love anything else in this game. I took this Nurkic line, the under 9.5 rebounds, just because it is still available, whereas the other ones were gone at this point. But the main reason is I'm hoping that Nurkic, we get that starting lineup and that Nurkic is not in it. And then that leg voids. And then we get what should be a 3-leg 50% boost. And we kind of game the system and get it down to 2 legs. All right. Were there any other questions? Chad Chandler, who I like in PGA. So I've not built out my PGA lineups yet. I'm going to do that tonight, and I'm going to post it to Tails. I'm going to post some from some PGA info up to Tails in like an hour and a half or so. The slate doesn't lock until 11:45 Eastern time tomorrow. So yeah, I'll be working on that tonight, and I'll post it to Tails, and I'll have it pinned to my account for free for everybody. So go check that out. Go over to Tails, and you'll be able to see the PGA stuff that I post for today. It'll be like top projected golfers, fades from the Sims, core plays from the Sims, all things along those lines. All right, guys, that is going to do it for us today. Thank you all very much for sticking around and watching. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Tomorrow night, just a 3-game slate. So I'm going to be doing live before lock with Eric tomorrow. Depends what's kind of going on. If there's news, I'll stick around for the late swap show. If not, we'll just do the live before lock. But it looks like tomorrow is going to kind of be a shitty slate for that because there'll only be 2 games remaining after lock. And I think they're quite a bit later also. Yeah. So the slate tomorrow starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then the games after that are at 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern time. So if there's still pending injury news, I'll hang out. If not, then maybe we'll jump up. Who knows? We'll play it by ear tomorrow. Other than that, good luck tonight, guys. And I will see you tomorrow. Good luck. Let's win a GPP and win an SGP.